Hello world, rowing world, and in the rest of the world. Hopefully we'll bring them along on our rowing quest here. This is Charlotte Pierce. I'm the producer of Ready Row USA. We're a podcast of the Rowing Chat Network, and we are pleased to bring you today a program that we've been putting together for a while called Rowing for All, and there's a question mark behind it because we have a long way to go in terms of including many more different types of communities and people with different financial capabilities and physical abilities. So we have 4 people today with us who are my role models really in this field. And one of them is Tara Morgan. Hi, Tara, with Seize the Oar and Steady State Network. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. And Tara used to help with the podcast early in our in 2019, 2018 when we started. Yeah. We've got Rachel Freedman, who works with Tara on the Steady State Network and RowSource, right?
That's right.
Yes, we had you on one time as well.
Yeah, back in March.
Talking about women and rowing enterprises. Yeah, and we have Richard. We have Richard Butler, who's currently on the new USRowing Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and is a former DEI manager at USRowing and former executive director at Three Rivers Rowing in Pittsburgh, one of my favorite places to row.
Yay.
Yay. How you doing, Richard?
Hello, all. Glad to be here.
Good to see you. And I know you had some video problems, but we have some ways to make up for that. So thank you for being here.
I definitely have a face for podcasts.
Oh, you definitely do. I mean, your erg picture was fantastic, the one we had on social media. And Michelle Sosa, one of my favorite Hydrow athletes. I love that program, and I love whenever you're on, I try and take your live rows. You know how I love you.
Oh, thank you. That's so special.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I love Concept 2 too, but the Hydrow, the real live reality stuff is just, I love it.
Yeah, they're two different experiences.
Yeah, and I have access to Concept 2 as well. Mm-hmm. It's a great community. But you are, you've recently taken on a role as an ambassador for the head of the Charles Gold Cup program.
Yes.
So we're excited to hear about that. It has a lot to do with building out vertical and horizontally programs that sustain rowing programs for underserved communities. So, yes, ma'am. That was so happy to have you all here. So there you are again. We have we're live streaming to Facebook channels or Facebook pages, YouTube channels, and LinkedIn, as well as to the Arlington Community Media Server, which will hopefully will be distributed then to any community media station in the country who wants to run it. So, here we go. Just a little intro stuff. Rowing Chat is the network that we're currently distributed by. We have 4 main podcasts, and rowing.chat is the URL. Rebecca Caro is the executive producer of this network, and she does Faster Masters rowing radio and a training program with Marlene Royal. They market through that. We have some amazing sponsors. Who doesn't want to go to Spain to row? This is Castel de Fels. Does anybody know Spanish better than I do? Stage a Sport is a specialist tour operator who books sports camps for rowers. And we have discounts and deals at rowing.chat/sponsors. Thank you so much. And we hope to all be traveling more in the near future. New magazine by Marlene Royal and Rebecca Caro is called Masters Rowing Magazine. And being a Masters rower, I'm really excited to be getting this for in-depth articles from a month, technique, performance, lifestyle, and a bonus interview. They always have great interviews. A lot of times with Olympic athletes or, people that have done amazing things in the field of rowing. Another publication is called The Science of Rowing, and it's a more technical, and there are a lot of technical people in this sport. So I think you're going to love this. It's you get a discount if you go to scienceofrowing.com/rowing chat, and all these will be in the show notes. So even if you're on audio, we'll have complete show notes for you. So Ready Row USA is our program, and I'm really pleased to have you all here. Tara, you want to start it off and tell us a little bit about your background in inclusion and adaptive rowing and so forth?
Yeah, thank you, Charlotte. It's great to be back on Steady State or on this podcast. And I'm here kind of wearing two hats. I'm the founder of Seize the Oar, one catch, one finish, one team, seizetheoar.org. We're Seize the Oar Foundation. We've been around for about 7.5 years, and we're in the Pacific Northwest. And we like to say that we champion inclusion in the sport of rowing, and we focus mainly on competitive adaptive team training and outreach programs and thought leadership. And this year with COVID, thought leadership took the forefront. We've moved our adaptive team training to the online environment, of course, with Zoom. We really miss getting together, but we agreed as a club that if everyone couldn't row, no one could row. So even when it opened up a little bit more, we just felt like one of the biggest roles that we have in the inclusive adaptive environment is to not be unintentional gatekeepers and say, you can come and you can play and you can't, and we can do this and that. And so we had our volunteers to consider, we had proximity to consider. And one thing that came out of the thinking about those, that just non-opportunity to get para on the water in an equitable fashion led to a 5-part para rowing global meetup series that we hosted online. And that was such a dynamic environment. And we met people from all over the world, coaches and rowers from all over the world. And the capstone of those meetups, or the real takeaway of those meetups, was we needed to network and we needed to get together and we needed to talk about inclusion.
And that was last year, right?
This was this year.
It was already this year. Okay.
Yeah. This was all since COVID. We started it, I think, in May and went through July. We did five really dynamic meetups with speakers about para. And of course, with Black Lives Matter happening and the bigger conversation around inclusion, we went into that realm as well. But the biggest project that came out of that was the idea for an inclusive coaches summit on the one hand. And then my other hat that I'm wearing, which is one of my favorite byproducts of COVID, is that Rachel Freedman from the Washington, D.C. area, who's with us today, she and I met on a Facebook page talking about accurate representation, talking about the narrative of rowing, stories of rowing. And we launched the new rowing media network called Steady State Network. And so Rachel and I are here to just honor that segue that came into now what's going to be a podcast, a magazine, and a really dynamic curated website, telling the stories, what we call rowing for the rest of us. So I'm going to let Rachel talk about the summit.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tara.
Yeah.
Rachel, what do you have to add there?
So Tara and I have been working to put together what we're calling the Your Inclusive Coaching Toolkit. It's a virtual summit, which is going to be held this coming Saturday, October 3rd. It's completely online. We have 4 sessions throughout the day. And in between those sessions, we're going to have networking opportunities. We're going to have Q&A sessions. And we're planning on finishing off the day with a VIP roundtable. So this is a sort of thing we hope people will attend. You can come in no matter where you are. If there's a session that really appeals to you, hop in then, but we hope that you'll be there throughout the day. do I have a little bit of time to talk about the sessions and the people who are going to be involved with us?
Tell us about the people. I know Richard's one of them.
Yeah.
And we just don't, we have to fit this in to a short period of time, but we will definitely expand the topics at a future date. But
sure, yeah, that's great. So we're going to have these 4 sessions talking about inclusion in a lot of different ways. Welcoming people to the boathouse. What sort of language are you using once folks are there? How are you communicating not only to your club, but to the wider public? And then we really want to start talking about some challenging things that I think some clubs are struggling with and hopefully are willing to start working on. And so we have a great group of people who are going to be involved, including trainers Lisa Montalvo, Karen Clara, and Pearl Outlaw. They're going to be involved in our first session, which is an inclusive workout workshop. Our Boathouse Welcome Mat session includes Christina Dragon, who's a rower with DC Strokes Rowing Club, who also has 10 years of experience in minority health, data analytics, and diversity and inclusion in workplaces, along with Richard Butler in that session. We're really excited to have the 2 of them. I think they're going to be a really dynamic pairing. Our Leaning into Inclusion session is going to be moderated by Jenny Withicum, who's a program administrator of health and physical education for Portland Public Schools. She's also a diversity and inclusion consultant with over 15 years of experience working in athletics, education, and health and wellness. And
several of those names of people that we've had on the podcast, including Jenny. But
yeah, I mean, there's a great group of people out there who've all really generously stepped up to offer their time to us this weekend. So Jenny's going to be joined by Patrick Johnson, who is definitely a name that is well known in the DEI conversation this year. Patrick is a longtime friend of mine from here in DC, and he holds many, many hats and is currently coordinator of reconditioning and adaptive sports at Walter Reed National Medical Center and head rowing coach for Athletes Without Limits. I just want to mention 3 more people who we've got involved and we're really excited about.
We're sort of running out of time, but go ahead.
Okay, well, we've got Denise Aquino with Rowing in Color, Claudia Lober, and Catherine Valdez, and they're going to be finishing off our day in our inclusive communication session. So if you want more information about this, please check out studystate.com, studystatenetwork.com, and click on our Coaching Summit link.
Fantastic. Does Richard or Michelle, do you have any questions for Tara or Rachel about these coming up, or any comments?
No, that was very thorough. Jenny also serves with me on the diversity committee with USRowing. Fantastic person, and I'm just looking forward to sharing my wisdom and knowledge in this space.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very exciting. And that's October 3rd is a Saturday, right?
That's right.
Okay. Richard, why don't you tell us a little bit? We have the time is flying by, but I would really like to hear what you hope to, and US Rowing hope to achieve with the DEI committee, and kind of like, I don't know if we have time to get into what happened with your previous position at as manager or chief of the DEI committee, but
yeah, all of the above. I can make this really fast. I'm grateful to be here today and just talking and chatting with some of my colleagues that I never get to chat or talk with. So 11 years ago, US Rowing had hired me as the diversity inclusion manager. And it was an amazing journey. The only reason why I'm no longer there is because I was given a new opportunity where I didn't have to fly around all the time, and I got to stay home in Pittsburgh. So that's there's no elephant in the room of why I left US Rowing. I've been an advisor to US Rowing since. I've helped run America Rows programs with the convention every year. Everything's cool with that. What we hope to achieve this year is to I happen to be the co-chair on the committee, and what we happen to achieve is just to execute all of the things that we know that we should be doing and can do. I was a one-person show with a lot of support from the staff, but it was very challenging. But this time around, it appears that the board of directors is really even more serious than before and will provide resources so that our committee can help talk about programming, help the staff implement and to create a strategic plan that's sustainable regardless of who the CEO is.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have a little time to chat at the end too, a few minutes. So if you all think of any questions, we also have some questions coming in from our listeners, but you are watching and listening to Ready Row USA. We're approximately bi-weekly. We try and do it as often as we can. And then when Tara suggests a topic like this, we have to, we kick it into high gear. So thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. And Michelle, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into the HOCR Gold Cup program and a little bit about what you hope to achieve with it.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited about diversity, equity, and inclusion in all different types of ways. So I like to hop on and have these chats and get to know different people. So again, some of those people that were mentioned earlier, I'm starting to get to know them, and I want to know who the people are that are making this little rowing family a lot, inviting people to the table. Basically, I work with Hydrow, and they bring rowing from the outdoors in to a lot of different homes across the country, which is very exciting. We make it a lot of fun, super open to start and make it easy. And then I was invited to be on the Gold Cup and the head of the Charles, I always want to call it HOCR, the actual head of the Charles Rowing Committee. They joined forces for good. And they're offering $100,000 to between 5 and 8 up and coming programs that are really focusing on that inclusion part of rowing. So it's been an amazing experience. I really love the way that we're going about the process. We are, comb through these applications with a fine-tooth comb. One thing, I can't say too much, but one thing that I do love about the process was that we had a community that was, mostly Caucasian. They had a big percentage that were white rower or white community. And but the rowing program, it was overrepresented by, other groups. Big one was, well, we just won't go into community. But then it was underrepresented by, by a ton of white rowers. And I'm happy that we are looking at all different types of communities and the makeups of them. And we're even going into, what's fair, not excluding any one thing. So I'm just loving this journey and getting to meet, all of you guys here.
Yeah, and you all had at Hydrow did a wonderful month of, or maybe just like it was eight sessions where you did a pride rows, right?
Yes.
So that was really fun, and I did all 8.
Oh my gosh, that was so fun. And
we had Akil on to talk about it with. Help me out here, Tara. What's his name? The Gay and Lesbian Rowing Foundation.
Oh, Brian Todd.
Brian Todd, yeah. Brain is failing, but so Akil and Brian came on and talked about that, how the importance of that, and you guys did a great job with those rows.
Yeah, and I guess I wanted to say one tiny thing about that. I'm from a small town, and I was introduced to bigger colleges and bigger cities, and so I learned so much about that community, and I had never really given like a whole exploit, a whole, I don't know the right word, a presentation about it, and I was nervous, and it was so wonderful and freeing, and I just thought it was a beautiful experience, honestly.
Fantastic. Yeah. Does anybody, let's just kind of open it up a little bit for a couple of minutes, and then I'll do the take us out. But anybody else have comments or projects that they'd like to talk about in this field? And we're just getting started, so.
Yeah, I'd like to mention that Seize the Oar sees an opportunity with getting more adaptive coaches certified. And so we're launching an adaptive rowing coaches certification program in 2021. So be on the lookout for that. And who we're really targeting with that is people who are already sort of in the trenches or about to be in the trenches. It's not about how to start a program or how to establish adaptive at your boathouse, really, but it's more like, I want to feel more confident in my skills. So look for that with your coming up in 2021.
Fantastic.
Richard? I wanted to say that I am so grateful that we have all these platforms now to bring marginalized rowers together and to build community and to actually get out of the shadows and actually be heard for the first time in this sport since I've been in it. And so I'm glad to hear about all these groups that are finding themselves on Facebook and Zoom. I'm a member of Black Rowers and Coaches now, and a very large group that's about to become a nonprofit, and that's all based on, unfortunately, Mr. Floyd being murdered. I would like to add that I will be doing another panel discussion on Sunday with Arshay Cooper as a fundraiser for Three Rivers Rowing, if anyone's interested. And just go to Three Rivers Rowing and you'll find the link. But I'm looking forward to continue having a voice in this space, and come hear me talk on Saturday with Tara.
Indeed.
It will be the bomb conversation of the year.
Well, my feeling is that we have to do everything we can. Not only, is a moral imperative to get more people of communities that aren't represented in rowing involved, but it will be healthy for our sport. It's like more people, more activity, it will help us understand each other. It will, help us tolerate each other, and include each other. I just really feel that, we have an obligation to do that, and it's exciting.
Well, I'm happy that we are naming like an elephant in the room, because honestly, with my journey through rowing, I always felt like I was really far behind. And I'm realizing now that I'm actually quite far ahead. And a lot of my journey had to do with, just don't quit. You know what I mean? And I felt like if it was only rowing, if it was just me versus rowing, I would have quit a long time ago. But because there were people and it was positive things and negative things, I was like, I gotta stay for these positive reasons, and I can't leave because then I'm proved people right. So I just love that it was this give and take, and that I was able to stay in the community, because when unfortunately I got into a whole community of female rowers who all look like me, and almost everyone was like, I quit. And I was like, I understood, because I was like, want to throw my hands up so many times, and I just see like the dreams get cut short, and that's exactly what sometimes people want. It's such a competitive sport that instead of maybe getting 2 seconds faster, I could try to cut someone down, and that's just the nature of the game.
Well, to me, it's exciting to see all these different people coming in, and it'll take some time, but I think efforts like yours are really important.
And Charlotte, one more thing, that with the Steady State Network, I think one of the big inspirations behind it was, one of the things that's coming out of all of this discussion around inclusion is that we just need to hear each other's stories, and we need to give that platform. And I think with Steady State Network, that's what we're looking for. We want to hear those stories about the challenges, about the giving up, about the coming back, about the coaches have hard conversations about toxic masculinity, for instance, in boathouses, or just toxic coaching, or how are we furthering the culture to be more approachable and welcome. And those come from stories, we believe, and that's what we're going to do.
And someone in this group, I believe, is thinking about writing a book, but I won't reveal who that is.
Not it.
But speaking of stories, but we all have a story to tell, and it's just, facilitating these avenues like the podcast, or I'm also going to be, my company, Pierce Press, we're going to be doing a program mentoring BIPOC. I don't know how you say that. How do you say that?
I think it's BIPOC.
BIPOC.
I didn't even know what it was, so let's just tell
Yeah, well, I didn't know.
People of color. That's what it is.
Young people, and I've been talking with Arshay Cooper about this too. Just a mentoring. So their stories. So a lot of people can write, but they don't know how to actually execute the book. You get it out and produce it and get it in front of people. So that's kind of what I'm going to try and help with as one of the projects in my company.
Yeah, I want to chime in on the Indigenous. We hadn't talked about the I yet. And one thing that Rachel and I have been very passionately pursuing is some sort of workshop or clinic that we want to produce coming up called Know Where You Row. And it's actually helping clubs identify the body of water on which they row and the land on which their boathouse sits. And just know the story, like find out what tribe it was, like how it came to be, and just know where you row. So it's something we're really interested in finding.
That is fantastic. All these things they're very exciting, and I want to be a part of them all. But appreciate. Rachel, any final thoughts from you?
I just wanted to say, follow up with what Tara was explaining about Steady State Network and the opportunity to open the lines of communication. So we're each coming at it from different perspectives. And we're very aware, Tara and I, that especially leading a summit dedicated to diversity and inclusion, that, we're two white women. And that's why we are really, really glad that so many people have offered their time for us on Saturday for our summit. But in addition to that, it's just about the bigger discussion. And there's always something to learn. And no matter how open-minded you think you are, there's probably something back there that you don't quite know and don't quite understand. So I hope that people really are paying attention to the conversations that are happening throughout the rowing community right now and taking advantage of them, listening in, becoming a part of those discussions, and taking away actionable items that you can bring back to your boathouse as a rower, as a coach, as an athlete, and as an ally.
Yeah, I think very few of us would say that we're against diversity, equity, and inclusion, but there are, like you're saying, there are actionable items just to move the progress forward and
execution once and for all.
Yeah, and so I want to go on and on, but let's make this a regular thing, if you don't mind. I'd love to have you all back just to kind of check in a couple months and continue to suggest topics and people that we can talk to, panelists for our podcast. I appreciate it very much.
I had one other teeny spec to drop in.
Yes, ma'am.
So I also wanted to make sure, well, I'm really into a lot of inclusivity. I'm excited about developmental and people who have challenges like intellectually. I also have a very big heart for Native American culture. I'm from South Dakota, so a lot of people that I'm around are Native American. I also want to help give voices to the people of color that are, I don't know how you say, like native to, like Indian, actual Indian, not, how it's always all these misnomers. And I also feel like the Asian community, sometimes they don't know where they fall. And so I represent Hispanic and Black women, but I want to open those doors. And, you know, it's really powerful. I always hear like, you know, white people, Caucasian people, however you want to be called, you know, like, oh, I can't speak or whatever, but it's so powerful,
Yeah.
you know, when it comes from you, and you guys have so much value even in this time. And it's not to devalue anyone, but really we can come together and, you know, all work. So I just wanted to add that.
Well,
really quick.
Amen. Thank you for saying that.
I want to add to that really quick that your whiteness is actually your superpower, because your voice get to be places that our Black voices cannot be. So without your voice, we don't exist. So it's super important that you use your social privilege to actually help be that voice in the rooms, in the hallways, in the kitchens that we can't be in.
Weren't we saying that the other day, Richard? Leverage the privilege.
Yeah.
Or I think about it as like a sword, you know, it can be used for good and bad. And I feel like that's the same thing, you know, all of us have like these things that we could do for good or for evil. And, you know, we get to decide. Yeah.
And be mindful, you know, go the distance, go farther than you think you need to, and make it happen. Well, thank you all. I'm going to take us out here with a few little housekeeping details, but we are planning more podcasts, and I think we're doing one in a couple weeks on virtual regattas, and you know, we're going to check in with the head of the Charles, the 4702, the global online event. We have a hashtag that we use to give away things on the podcast, and it's Ready Row USA, just hashtag Ready Row USA. And if you use that on social media, you will be put into a selection for gifts, rowing gear, gadgets, and services, and books and things like that. So please do that and get the word out about what we do here, Ready Row USA. We have a club news form, and nobody uses it. I'm fully admitting that nobody uses it but we want to talk about your club. We want to tell the world that you hired an executive director, that you, I don't know, renamed your boathouse after the Native American club. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, just send us the news and we will put it on and give you a platform for it. If you're looking for staff, you know, if you have a job opening or if you've just hired somebody. We also have a gadgets and gear form, so please send us in your favorite gadgets for rowing that help you with your rowing. And thanks to our sponsors again. I guess I'm one of the sponsors because I produce the show, but Pierce Press is my company, and we have an award for our latest book, Who's Hiding in This Book, which definitely celebrates diversity. It has 10 famous authors, and 5 of them are not white men or women. They're from all different backgrounds, so it's really fun to get that award. And it's a wonderful book by Sheila Cordner from Boston University. Kimberly Reynolds from Recovery on Water is one of our correspondents. She's taking a break right now, but she's been very helpful and in our news section. And please tune into the show notes. We'll have our upcoming episodes listed there, and you can send in any comments and questions that you have. And we do have a couple of questions that maybe we get. If you want to unmute yourself and answer some of this. Bayada Regatta. Does anybody know about this? The oldest assistive rowing regatta.
Yeah,
Sure.
I've been.
Oh, cool.
Yes, we send rowers from 3 rivers.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've been as a coach, and Mr. Bayada, Mark Bayada, gave Seize the Oar our first boat. That was a gift from Mr. Bayada.
It's a small world, but a wonderful one. Timothy Anderson says, wow. And we also have Marianne Marichal, and Joe May is listening, and the wonderful Neil Bergenroth, who Tara introduced me to a while ago.
Yeah, Marianne is from Row, New York.
Oh, cool. Yeah, great.
Thanks, Tim.
What's that?
I just said thanks, Tim, for the
Thanks,
wow.
Tim. Yeah, for the wow. The wow is great. And then Sue Edelstein, I've seen her on Facebook. She's wondering if she can listen to this afterwards on her club, with her club board. And of course you can. There will be it's recorded and you can play it back on wherever you're listening now, or on YouTube is the easy way to do that. If you want me to send you the actual recording, the MP4, I will do that as well, or share it with you. So I want to get it to you. We don't care if you distribute it. It's good. Anyway, y'all can just, as I scroll through the Masters Rowing magazine, the sponsors are very important. They keep us on the air, on the internet. And please, a lot of good information is coming out with these publications. Okay. I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much, all of you. It's Ready Row USA. We come on about every 2 weeks, and sometimes sooner more often if we have an inspiration like this. Thank you, Tara, Michelle, Rachel, Richard, the erg whisperer. You're the best. We'll get your beautiful face on the video next time.
It's all right. It's been seen enough.
Okay, thank you all. You can stay on and chat if you want, but I'm going to end the broadcast. We'll see you next time.
I have to go, Coach. Later.
Later.